Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time it is another mini rant. This is a topic I have been wanting to do a video about for a while now, and I feel very strongly about this. And when there are topics that I'm very passionate about, it makes for the best rants and it makes for the best videos. So it's definitely something that I wanted to think long and hard about before I decided to press record and bring this particular video to you all. As you can see, the title is called Recasting the Impossible, and this is all about the concept of recasting iconic film characters and having them being portrayed by different actors for many other films in the future, and essentially keeping old franchises alive by recasting the actors over and over again. I personally feel that's honestly asking for failure. As the title says, in my opinion, you're recasting the impossible. And this is why. When you think of iconic film characters, John McClane, Freddy Krueger, Indiana Jones, Han Solo, all these other sort of characters, male and female too, Ellen Ripley, Sarah Connor, these are all characters that are brought to life by the performances, brought to life by the performances of the actors and the actresses who are portraying these characters. And as a result, these characters become uniquely the actor or the actress's own. They put their DNA into these particular characters. And these characters are not iconic or anywhere near as effective without the actors and the actresses that originally brought them to life portraying these roles. Characters like Rocky Balboa, John Rambo, those are characters that are uniquely Sylvester Stallone's. No one else is going to play John Rambo or Rocky Balboa and really do the same thing or even be anywhere near the same type of impact in terms of the performance. Now, John Rambo, on the other hand, was actually a character that started out in a book by David Morrell. But the character was so different in the book versus what he was in the film that if you were going to do another sort of John Rambo type thing, you might as well just do a completely different movie with a completely different character, like something like The Hunted with Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones. Because that character that's in the book is not the John Rambo that's iconic. People will bring up things like James Bond or different comic book superheroes like Batman or Superman or Spider-Man. Those are different altogether because these are characters that existed in print long before they ended up on film. So you have characters like Batman and Superman who had countless story arcs and countless character traits already established before they even ended up being adapted on the big screen. So these are all characters that you can have interchangeable elements. You can have them being portrayed by different actors or actresses. In the case of someone like, for example, a video game character like Lara Croft, or a superheroine like Wonder Woman. You know, these are all characters that can be interchangeable. James Bond, that's another example. But the reason why is because they were brought to life in the first place in print. When it comes to film characters like John McClane, Indiana Jones, those are all characters that were brought to life with screenplays and on film. And a screenplay is a completely different medium than a novel or a comic book. It's more limited. And these are characters that on the page, they themselves aren't strong enough. They themselves aren't interesting or engaging enough without the actor's performance. Think about somebody like R.J. McCready, or, for example, Ashley Williams. These are characters that are iconic and well remembered and well loved and well known because Kurt Russell and Bruce Campbell brought them to life in a way that was powerful, gripping, fun, and entertaining to watch. Their DNA is all over these characters. When you think about iconic horror icons like Freddy Krueger, for instance, Robert Englund is synonymous with Freddy Krueger. And there's a reason for that. Because Robert Englund is the one that brought that character to life. It wasn't the screenplay by itself that brought the character to life. I argue when it comes to film characters, especially iconic film characters, it's not the character itself that is what draws audiences in. It's not the character itself that is engaging. It's the performance. It's the actor. It's the actor that brings the most life into the role. Yes, character wouldn't be there. The actor wouldn't be able to put their stamp on this character if it wasn't for the screenplay and it wasn't for the character being written on the page. But it's a completely different medium. Films are a completely different medium than novels or comic books or video games. They're completely different. So the films rely solely, not necessarily solely, but films rely for the most part on their actors and their actresses to bring these roles to life and to do them justice. If you have someone who doesn't, really do that much and doesn't really say anything or really is more of a presence than a particular performance, you can get away with recasting them. Like, for instance, Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers or Leatherface. These are all characters that I personally can totally understand and have no issue with being recast. Because, yes, there are some actors that I think do better than others in the role, like Kane Hodder versus some of the other characters who played Jason over the years. But the thing is, Jason still is not some irreplaceable character when it comes to a performance. Freddy Krueger, on the other hand, is entirely the case. For instance, look at what happened with Jackie Earle Haley. He could not even remotely come close to even filling Robert Englund's shoes, and the reason why is because no one really could. There isn't an actor today that's going to come in and play Freddy Krueger and be on par with, let alone better than Robert Englund. Because Robert Englund is the heartbeat of that character. The same thing applies to John McClane. You can't have a new Die Hard series and have a different actor play John McClane other than Bruce Willis. It's not going to work. Indiana Jones is another example of this, and I've heard people say Chris Pratt, and they've said this other stuff, and maybe Indy 5, they'll recast Indy. I hate that idea. It didn't work with Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo in Solo. It's not going to work if somebody else tries to play Indiana Jones, because that character is tied directly to Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is the guy who came in and made that role famous. He's the guy that came in and made that role what it was. And I'm tired of people trying to resurrect these franchises by recasting these characters and thinking that they're just completely interchangeable when it comes to performances and iconic film characters that really rely upon the performances to really make them tick, to really make them pop off the screen. There have been multiple instances. There's been more instances of actors trying to play the same character that another actor portrayed earlier and had done the best job possible and was the perfect casting choice for that role. And there are when I'm talking about that, I mean most of them don't work. They're terrible. They are total failures. In fact, I think all of them are. I can't think of a single one in this instance where it's actually turned out fine. Where, for instance, all the different people trying to play RoboCop, Richard Eden was the closest, but still wasn't even on the same pedestal as Peter Weller. That's a big reason why I'm worried about the new RoboCop, because how are they going to get somebody who's going to be on par or on the same level as Peter? They've tried it before and they failed multiple times. Jackie Haley as Freddy Krueger. There are countless other examples of this. It's one of those things that's like, there's enough track record here. There are enough instances where this has not worked out that you would think that would deter people from trying this concept out. But no, does not seem to be the case, because you have more remakes that are being thrown out there and optioned and greenlit, and you have these rumors being thrown out about doing new Indiana Jones with a different actor other than Harrison Ford, and all these other things, so on and so forth. And to me, it's just a bad idea all the way around, because you can't recast the impossible. These are characters that are tied directly to the performances by the actors and the actresses who portray them. They are not characters that you can just recast willy-nilly and everything will be great and everything will even be remotely the same as it was before. So out of respect to these actors and these actresses who busted their ass and put everything that they had into these roles, I personally would suggest that Hollywood and studios would retire these characters altogether instead of trying to resurrect them with different faces. Because it's an execution in failure. It's not going to work out. The chances are nil. They're zero. They're not the same as Batman, Superman, Iron Man, Sherlock Holmes, or any of these other characters that were successful and well known in print long before they were brought to life on the big screen. These are cinematic characters, and cinema is a completely different medium and a completely different format than a book or a comic book or a video game. These are all characters that are living and breathing because of the actors and actresses that breathe that life into them. And that life is uniquely those actors and actresses. It's not something you can mess around with. It's not something that you can replicate. It's something that is uniquely theirs. So that's my personal opinion on the idea of recasting the impossible. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments down below about your thoughts on recasting iconic film characters. And as always, I will see you later. See ya.